Hey Spuddies, Potato McWhiskey here, and welcome back to Let's Play Civilization 6 as China. And our main objective in this episode is to finish the game. We have, of course, already got our spaceport. The main thing we need to do is finish the Broadway, and then immediately begin building the things like the Earth satellite. Now, you might say you should probably start that kind of stuff now. Also, I never researched astrology or celestial navigation in this game because I didn't need them. But you really don't have to launch the Mars colony until you start researching these super late game tech. So I kind of do have time to screw around here. Now, there are two key things that I will need to start doing in the city of Wuhan. I'm going to start hard building 6 charge builders, and I'll probably need to retool my government slightly. But we're well on our way to victory in this episode. And really, this is just about like how fast can we win now? What little tiny optimizations can we do in the final turns of the game to squeeze out a few less turns in this game? And there's, generally speaking, there's kind of two different philosophies here. As far as I'm concerned, there's the like, you have to win as soon as possible, play every single move optimally. And then there's the just kind of like, you know, all the hard work is done. Just kind of get it over with. Let's just close the game out, put a pin in it, and call it a win. And I kind of tend to fall into the, I would say somewhere in the middle of that, right? But I would definitely lean more towards, all right, the hard part is done. We've won the game. Let's put a pin in it and get the hell out of here. And really, this is going to be an important skill that you develop as you play Civ, is learning how to, I don't want an alliance with you, well, maybe I will get an alliance with her actually, because there is a little bit more money in an alliance. But learning how to manage yourself is a skill that everyone should learn. Who are you? What do you do? What do you, like, how you should know yourself better than anyone else. And I mean, that's almost tautological, like, or even just like purely logical. Like you should just know yourself better than anyone else, because how could you possibly know anyone else better than yourself? Which is always kind of why it's kind of weird when people say, I know you better than yourself. That's a big yikers for me, dog. But besides all that, aside from all that, we could actually build a great Zimbabwe here. I don't think we will. I think we're at the phase of the game now where we just spam campus research grants. I don't think building any of these buildings would significantly impact or improve my rate of gameplay. The only thing missing in here, we have the arena. We have lots of amenities. So the city of Handan. We'll probably crack out a couple more builders to continue to improve the mountains. I have 5 envoys, and I have full relationship with all of these. I definitely want to be suzerain of Anshan because it's an extra little bit of science. Being suzerain of Bologna would be nice as well. And let's see. Otherwise, I don't particularly care. I think it would be okay to put a point into Muscat. And then that's it, really. I think we're quite happy with that setup. We can just hold on to these envoys to maintain suzerainty. I kind of lost my train of thought there, actually. Yeah, you should. One of the skills you have to learn when you're becoming a better player at Civilization 6 is actually self-management, right? And this is just a skill you need to like develop as a person regardless. But you need to learn how to manage, like, are you getting tired? Are you getting fatigued? One of the big mistakes, right, that people make when they're playing these games is they ruin the game for themselves by playing it in a way that ruins the game for themselves. It's hard to describe it in any other way, but basically, like, a lot of people, when they load up a 4X game, they're like, oh yeah, man, I want to have that epic 4X experience, right? So they load up a giant map with 5 million civs on whatever difficulty, on marathon game speed, and they essentially ruin the game for themselves because they're not mentally or like prepared to play that game through to the finish. And so like managing yourself from that perspective at the start of the game is really important, but the other half of that is learning how to manage yourself towards the end of a game, okay? A lot of the things that I'm doing here, these are just automatic things that I have done these things so many times. I know where to click. I know what, like, I don't even have to describe to you that screen I looked at Eleanor. I knew she was whining at me because I picked up an archaeological dig site in her city, and I knew I wanted to click the bottom option. So my brain has done that so many times I didn't have to process it, right? But you don't have that memory. You don't have that developed skill. And so you have to put a lot more work into those kind of interactions, because you have to think like, oh, what is she asking me? What do I do here? What's the right move? Like things that are just automatic to me, they take work from you. And you need to learn how to manage yourself, right? What used to happen to me when I was playing this game is because I didn't have a lot of experience with the late game, I would get really fatigued in the late game. And again, I'm just picking up Lex. I don't even need to think about that. That's stuff I can do automatically. I'm not even processing that information because I've learned a really, really good skill of filtering. What is filtering? Filtering is where you take a piece of information and then do not give a shit about it. So like, I don't care what these cities really do in the late game. I don't care. I don't care what happens with like my units. I don't care what these cities do. These cities are not important, so I'm not really making meaningful decisions with them. I can just kind of click through and pretend that like these cities don't matter. And the other really nice thing is, if you play enough Civ, you start to kind of build up a muscle memory. Like there, I wanted to move my archaeologist into the Ottomans' territory. I saw the hard borders, and then I immediately, without even thinking about it, I knew where to click to get open borders with him. And if you do that enough, you will eventually develop that skill. But that sort of stuff, it comes with time. It just comes with time, and it's good. But to get to the point of what I'm saying, which is sometimes a little bit difficult when I'm trying to do a meta conversation at what I'm doing, is that managing yourself is a skill. And in the late game, it's really, really important to learn how to differentiate between things that matter and things that don't. Like, for example, this builder, his actions literally just do not matter to the outcome of my game. This builder, his actions don't matter to the outcome of the game. This builder as well. None of these units that I'm interacting with, they have no impact on the outcome of the game. And so you have to learn to prioritize with a view of managing yourself, okay? Lower your expectations. You don't need to make every single move perfectly. You just need to get through the turn so that you can get the win screen, and you can have that satisfaction and be like, okay, I won the game. What a wonderful day. We did manage to get a heroic age, which is really, really nice. I think the obvious thing here to take is Heartbeat of Steam and 2 arms and reform the coinage. This will be nice for our gold income and stuff like that. We can go ahead and choose a civic. We do have ideology, which will kind of change up our government a little bit. Let's go ahead and pick up suffrage. Although I think I'll go for nuclear program and then suffrage. The golden age is really, really nice. I don't think we're going to change anything. I think we're quite happy with what we have. We've maxed out happiness, which I'm really, really happy about. And yeah, we're basically getting where we need to. I'm really excited to get Broadway. That's going to be a lot of fun. 100% production towards... I don't think any of these particularly matter. I'll just pick campuses. It would be nice if Great Works of Writing gave extra stuff. I would like to get the victory points, and then World's Fair is fine. I don't particularly care about any of this stuff. Again, like, it's really, really simple. The hard thing that you're going to be doing is when you're managing yourself and trying to avoid like fatiguing out of a game is the first thing to do is to force yourself to load up a game you don't want to load up. That's like step one. Like you kind of have to learn how to force yourself to do things you don't want to do. And then the second part of it is, oh God, I forget what it is. It's the first thing is forcing yourself to do things. And then the second thing is knowing when to stop forcing yourself to do things. Don't push yourself beyond your limit. You got to be just a little bit kinder with yourself. Push yourself, but not too hard. You don't want to shove. You want to give a gentle nudge in the right direction. I actually made a mistake with that spy, so I'm going to abort that mission because the success chance was way too low there. I'm going to yoink Gustav Eiffel. I bought him just so I could maybe finish Broadway a few turns sooner, so I could get started on my space projects because they're actually coming up pretty hard and fast. And I need to be ready to deal with that. So now all of my gold will be going towards buying builders in Wuhan. The reason that I'm doing this is because I'm going to be building a very important building. If I come here and I go to the government plaza, the 3rd tier building, the Royal Society, allows you to spend builder charges to provide production to a district project. The amount of production that they provide to a district project, i.e. a space race project, is actually dependent upon the total number of build charges in it. That's why pyramids are actually S tier for a space race victory, because it increases the rate at which you can improve your spaceports projects. So a 3 charge builder will give you half as much production as a 6 charge builder. I think it scales linearly. I might actually have to double check that. It's been a while since I researched those things. I should probably do like shorts on those things. I keep saying that and then I don't do it. But although I guess shorts are monetized now, so maybe we should get on that train. Perfect. So there is suffrage. We are going to go ahead and switch to suffrage, aka democracy. That'll be +2 era score. Now, the nice thing about democracy is that it gives your trade routes +4 food and +4 production to both cities when you're trading with an ally. I have one ally and all my trade routes are going to her. A 15% discount on purchases with gold. That could be nice if you want to buy your spaceport around the time you get this. We kind of didn't hit that milestone exactly on the nose. So New Deal is a fantastic card that is unique to the democracy government type. It gives you +4 housing and +2 amenities to all cities with at least 3 specialty districts. It's a really, really good tall late game move. Fantastic amenities, fits perfectly into my build. I don't really need to change much. I guess I'm just going to plug in a card on a temporary basis. I'll plug in Autocratic Legacy because that makes my capital better. The only city I really care about is my capital because I'm going for the single spaceport build and I need to actually stop counter-spying with Xi'an here and tell him to start counter-spying on the spaceport. That'll be the main objective here. Where's Gustav Eiffel? Why don't you pop in here? Finish the Broadway for me. Broadway is finished, giving me a 20% culture boost in the city and a free random civic. I think we just got nuclear program. We need to plug in science foundations. Let's head immediately towards globalization. We want the International Space Agency card because we just need to maximize the total amount of science. If we hit about 1,000 science per turn, we'd be doing pretty well right now. We need to get the Royal Society. That'll take 4 turns, and then we can begin doing the Earth satellite. And you can see we've got that down to 7 turns. One of our main goals will be to try and hit, if I go to the Great Scientist screen, you can see Erwin Schrödinger is going, but we're going to try to hit some of these later game ones. And the way that we're going to do that is to start working these campus research grants. Campus research grants allows you to convert some of your production into science, but more importantly, allows you to convert some of your production into Great Scientist points at a rate of 1.5 Great Scientist points for every 10 production you input into this. So multiply this by 1.5 or 0.15 rather. So if I take 284 multiplied by 0.15, that means every time I complete one of these projects, sorry, I just divided it by, I make that mistake sometimes. I mix up my symbols. So 0.15, I get about 42 Great People points every time I finish this, or I could just take the production amount and multiply that by 0.15. And I know that I'm getting about 11 Great Scientist points per turn because of the city's production amount. So that kind of puts things in perspective, perhaps, just how good those can be. Okay, Li Ling actually has come back to my capital. I'm going to go ahead and just put Ace Driver on here, but she's probably going to be the one, or he is going to be the one to defend my spaceport. I think that's the right move. Having a level 3 spy. I think having a higher spy level increases your ability to counter spy. I'm like 99% sure about that. I actually don't know. I've never really checked. We did manage to get a research lab in here. Probably could do with a builder or two to protect and upgrade this city. Brilliant. So if this was the vanilla game, this would have been the last project we need to complete. However, for a science victory, they've added a bunch of extra late game science projects, which is why I know for a fact that I can delay the actual doing of the projects just a little bit. I know it's not necessary to start them the second I get them. I know if I start doing them around the time I get Launch Mars Colony, I will roughly hit the timing here. That just comes from experience and knowing. You kind of learn as you play the game. You learn to play the game by feel, which is kind of a weird thing to describe when it's it's a digital game. So you kind of just start to get a sense of this feels about right. And the thing is, your sense isn't perfect, but as you develop it, it becomes pretty accurate, and you can kind of start to make predictions about the game's state. I think maybe if there's a civ, and if this civ is in the game and they got this start, they're likely to be at this point in the game, so I'm actually behind. I'm going to go ahead and switch containment in here because getting suzerainty now has become one of the most important parts of my gameplay. So I definitely want gunboat diplomacy over cash per turn. And yes, so the most important thing that I do at this phase of the game is to get easy suzerainty of the AI. I do have governor titles. We're going to go ahead and take grants and then go for Space Initiative on Pingala. The Space Initiative will give me an extra 30% boost towards the space program, and then the grants also just gives me Great People points, which is quite nice. Not super necessary to the outcome of the game, but just nice. A little moderate flood and some of this. Excellent. Now, do we particularly care about Janaki Amal? I am going to skip Janaki Amal because Phoenicia is just about to earn a Great Scientist. So if I skip, she will take this. All 4 of the Atomic Era Great Scientists will be gone, and then I can grab someone more useful like Abdus, Carl Sagan or Stephanie Kollek. Those are the 2 most useful. So if I pass here, who shows up? Unfortunately, it's Abdus Salam, who is one of the least useful late game Great Scientists. I think I might uninstall the Great People Portrait mod, although it's quite good. I don't know if I love it personally. I think I prefer it when it was stylistic about the game. But we are getting a few extra research labs up just to squeak out that last little bit of extra science. It's not necessary because of our game state, but I figured we managed to look our way into getting a big empire through blobage. So why wouldn't we? Blobage. Even Birmingham is flipping now to me. I think this was threatening to flip way earlier into the game, and it would be quite nice if we got the Forbidden City, because it does seem like they built the Forbidden City in Birmingham. Oh, these don't count as barbarians, so I'll have to kind of retreat here, unfortunately. So if you're wondering why I go for democracy and vessel banking, it should be pretty obvious when you look at my trade routes and the fact that basically every single one of these trade routes has +6 food, +6 production on them, at the very least, because I'm trading with my ally. You do this in your capital city and you end up in a city with an absurd amount of production, right? 40 production from trade and then another 40 food from trade. So it's just, I don't know, it's the way that kind of I've always just played, and it feels right to me to play this way. Can't really describe it in any other more special way. Oh my god, I forgot to put Pingala back into my capital. Okay, so that's actually a huge error. for a number of reasons, but most notably the fact that I'm missing out on a big chunk of science and I'm missing out on a 30% boost towards this project. So that's a little bit of a sub-optimization there. So we're going to start feeding builders in here into the spaceport, which is enabled by the government building called the Royal Society. So now we can start feeding builders in here. And pretty much all of my gold at this phase of the game is going to be going towards buying builders into Wuhan. I'm killing zombies. Zombie. We don't need to do the Manhattan Project or anything like that. Let's just do banking. Again, like, part of the managing your late game is knowing which decisions are consequential and which decisions you can kind of just go like, that doesn't matter. I'll just click something random. Lol XD random. I have a mighty spork. They call me the Penguin of Doom. You know what, dude? I don't think the Penguin of Doom copy pasta is that cringe. Okay? I think it was kind of cute. Right? Back in the day, when we were all kind of weird little teenagers on the internet, we posted cringe. And you know what? It was fun. It was fun to be that cringe. We were the cringe commanders. If you weren't there, you don't understand, all right? Society takes itself way too seriously now. Okay? You need to stop. If you take yourself too seriously, go embarrass yourself. Do something silly. It's not healthy to be obsessed with what people think of you, okay? Go embarrass yourself doing something silly and you'll realize it's not that big of a deal. It's not the end of the world, okay? If something awkward happens, whoop-de-doo. All right? I had a very awkward moment happen the other night. In fact, it was so awkward, I'm not ready to talk about it. But even so, I was still able to laugh about it as it was happening, right? So we got the Earth satellite launched, by the way, which means we can see the whole world. Now we're working on the moon landing. The moon landing will give us 10 times our science as culture. So that's what's going to hopefully propel us up into globalization through these two techs. That is the goal. That's kind of like the timing. Like I want to hit moon landing and hit globalization. Basically, I want to basically almost perfectly land on globalization as the moon landing goes. That was kind of like the goal. I talked about that earlier about how I was delaying it slightly. We'll continue to trade with our good friend England. Our good friend England. But I mean, like, essentially my entire career is built off of just doing embarrassing things online. And you might not think it's like, potato, playing Civ isn't embarrassing. No, it's not. But it's a very unnatural and strange thing to broadcast yourself all day long and essentially become someone's, well, I don't necessarily do it all day long, but to broadcast yourself on a regular basis and become someone else's, like, go-to comfy dude for watching the YouTube videos. And here's the thing, the interesting thing about being a streamer, YouTuber or whatever, is that when your entire life is broadcast, unlike most people who have like an Instagram or whatever, you don't get to, oh my fucking God, there's a medic on my tile. Get off my tile, please. But yeah, normally like if you have an Instagram, you can cut out the weird cringe stuff. And like, if something didn't go well, that shit just doesn't get posted. If I make an error and I'm live streaming or making a video, it's a lot of work to cut that out because there's so much. If you're putting up one Instagram post a week, you got to curate so little because you just got to pick the good stuff. I got to go through, and every time I make a bad joke, every time I say something cringe, every time I make a weird remark or a joke that doesn't land, that shit's got to go. That's got to go through the edit and get retconned. There are times where I'll just be like the Morbus, hey, I'll make a joke or do like a bit, and then I'll think about the bit, and I will think it's not very good, and I might just go like, hey, Morbus, ixnay on the bitsnay, cut that out. You just go back about 5 minutes and cut that bit out. You got to do a little bit. It's hard work to curate an online image, you know what I'm saying? In the sense that you want to be your authentic self, but you also you want to be able to every now and again kind of step away from the really embarrassing stuff. I don't know. I think you also just get better at it too, so you don't run into that issue as often. That's why I think live streams are way more. I think it's way harder for live streamers because at the very least, right? If I'm doing a YouTube video and I say something, let's say I accidentally, I don't know, I do like an offensive accent, without even because I'm just playing the game, I'm being silly, and then I think about it. And actually, that accent was like a little bit offensive, and I can just go back and be like, yeah, let's delete that. Because that came off wrong. It was supposed to be silly and quirky and fun, but it actually just came off like I was, making fun of a culture or something. But we did just finish the moon landing via feeding builders into this, which is perfect. I haven't seen a city-state flip independent in a very, very long time. That's actually fascinating. They must have no amenities. What was I going to say? So we're now working on the Mars landing, and that is getting pretty close to the victory. We're getting close to the W. I will say it's quite rare that I do something truly cringe. I might do the odd cringe thing. I think, I actually don't think very many things are very cringe. I think it's mostly we get in our heads about it and we're like, we think it's a bigger deal than it really is. That's my take. The vast majority of people are like, oof, that wasn't it, buddy. Oh, by the way, we just finished using the moon landing. We finished globalization, which was the goal. The globalization, and that's worth 200 science per turn. So I'll pop that into, well, I want to keep containment because containment is how I keep my suzerainty. So I'm going to go ahead and drop Merchant Confederation. And now the goal is to just get as many suzes as we can because every suzerain is a 5% science boost. Yeah, I forgot what I was saying. I lost my train of thought, but that's kind of part of the late game. Now we just don't really care. I guess theoretically we could go for synthetic technocracy. It is a 30% production boost towards all city projects. That might be better than the trade route boost. Sure, why not? We'll do it. Sure, I'll take you. We got the market. We got the builder. You pop in there. But yeah, part of managing the late game is just knowing like, okay, so this decision doesn't matter, so I don't have to sit here and think about it for 5 minutes. I can just click on something random, right? And I know the only thing that matters now is defending this spaceport and getting these space race projects finished. So literally all of my brain power goes into making sure that there's just builders around here. And everything else is just like, oh, I see this unit, don't care. This unit, I don't care. Like, go sleep somewhere else. Ryder, I guess I'll do that because you're kind of in position. You just fortify you. I'll just delete you because I don't care about you because there was no easy actions for me to perform and I don't want to have to micro you next turn. Let's continue to feed builders. It's good to also have a nice stockpile of aluminium. So I'm quite happy that I built these pair of encampments because they're going to allow me to stockpile an extra 10 resources per building I built, which means I can stockpile an extra 60 resources, I think. I don't know what my baseline is, but I know I'm able to stock an extra 60. I think maybe, does the encampment itself allow you to stockpile more resources? I don't know, actually. It's a great question. But yeah, stockpiling aluminium is a great thing to do in the late game. It allows you to do the Lagrange. No, not Lagrange. It's the terrestrial laser station. You could do the terrestrial laser, or maybe it is Lagrange. No, you could do the Lagrange laser station more and more, which will speed up your zoomy boomy go to the other colony boat. So where do we stand? Yeah, we're gonna have to pick up Abdus Salam. It's like probably one of the worst case scenarios, honestly, is that we have to pick him up. Literally any other great scientist, it would have been amazing. We also don't care about Nikola Tesla. Probably should be running engineering projects, but I'm going to come down here and start doing, not commercial, sorry, I meant to do campus research grants in every city that's capable of doing it, every city that's possible to do it, every city that it makes sense to do it in, we shall try and endeavor to do it in. I'm just going to build, I probably don't need more campuses, so I'm just going to do commercial hub investments. One trick for the late game is if you don't care about like super hyper optimizing every single move, just give your city something to do. Like that doesn't like add new units to the production queue, just so you can get through the turns. Getting through the turns efficiently is a big thing. A lot of 4X games, like the first 20 turns, they go by like super quick. But then as you get like as your empire gets bigger, as you get more cities, as you get more units, the total number of decisions you have to make just goes up exponentially, and the impact of each one of those decisions goes down. So you could get like what we call decision fatigue. So try to avoid decision fatigue and just focus on the things that matter, right? Which is kind of like good life advice, honestly. It's like, hey, focus on the things that matter. The problem, though, here's the problem with that life advice, is what the hell are the things that matter? You know what I mean? Like, duh, thanks very much for telling us, pointing out the obvious, Captain, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you could give me a little bit of advice and tell me what the important things actually are. And then the other half of that is when someone does tell you, hey, these are the things that are important in life, either A, they're insane and they care about like wild shit, or B, the things they care about aren't the things that you care about. So you got to figure that shit out on your own. And that's not, that's not straightforward. I think, though, there are some universal truths. I probably have some very weird beliefs. Let's get into them. Let's get into those weird beliefs. So I actually believe that we all have, sorry, hold on. I haven't unlocked the final project, so I need to do a little bit of research. I need to finish advanced AI, and then we might be able to pick it up. I actually believe that we all have kind of, not exactly, but I'm going to paraphrase a little bit here, but I think we all have what I would consider to be essentially a universal, I guess I will call it a moral compass, but it doesn't necessarily have to do with moral. Rather, it's like a personal moral compass. We all kind of know the right things that we should be doing. And if you ask anyone, what should you be doing? Like, what are the things that you should be doing to improve your life? Or what are the things that are most important to you? And they will give you like really insightful, accurate answers that, you know, you'd be like, yeah, those things are important. Those are really important. You should do those things. And then they won't do them. They do none of them. They do none of them. It's amazing. We're all like this, and I don't know why. However, I do think, for me in particular, I have started to do at least some of them. And I definitely feel like my life has improved since I started doing that. We do have 11 out of 11 cities fully amenitied, which is always really nice. But it's just hilarious. Like, you could literally be like, you know, so what do you think is like the key ingredients of like a really happy life? And people will be like, oh, well, you know, you should keep your diet in check. You probably shouldn't eat too much junk food. You should probably exercise a lot, or at least a decent amount. You should spend time with your friends and family. You should make sure you get out of your house. Make sure you know, have some fulfilling hobbies. I'm going to refuse the city of Byblos because I just don't care. And I'm waving my hands in the air. You know, and they'll give all these answers. And then you're like, okay, so what do you do in your free time? They're like, well, I spend 8 hours a day watching television. And I do nothing creative. It's like, well, listen, I hate to break it to you, buddy, but like, you're kind of missing a key part of this whole like understanding life thing, is that, you know, it's praxis is more important than theory. All right, let's fully promote Pingala just for the memes. We get the Pingala pop up. Mostly that's just to use up my governor titles. But I am curious. Actually, let's put my universal. This is more like personal moral. Moral as in, moral doesn't necessarily mean like the decision has morality. It's probably more like a universal utility compass. But basically, I want you all, as a little philosophical personal exercise, before you read the comment section, I want you to go down there and type up, what do you think of the elements of like a good life? And then underneath that, I want you to write like which parts you're not doing of that, which parts you aren't. And I want you to be honest, okay? Be really honest. And then when you type your own one up, go read a few other ones and see if there's any like interesting commonalities between people. Because I wonder how many people will be like, oh, it's really important that you make a lot of money and like have, you know, 20 plus, you know, partners, and, you know, you have O's and different area codes and all this sort of stuff. I don't think there's going to be many people who say that, at least not in my community. I guess I'm probably not the community to have that. But it's funny because I've been listening to a lot of this, like, I say listening. I've been more so like, it's just kind of an interesting topic to me. All this, like, the stuff about like the manosphere. Oh, we actually got oh my God. Holy shit, we got the God seed. Smart materials leading to off-world mission. I think this is like one in like a few thousand. Like the probability that we get a tech tree like this is literal perfect. I guess the only actual maybe there's one slightly more optimal one where it's like this is smart materials and it links immediately to off-world mission. I don't know if you can actually get that, but this is like near perfect tech tree RNG. This save file, if played correctly, could probably be like a sub 180 turn. This could be a sub 180 turn science victory with a tech tree like this, because this is your main bottleneck in the late game. Shit, I lost my train of thought. I lost my train of thought. It's not important. It was something to do with comment sections and demographics and like what people care about. Yeah, I'd be curious to see what people actually care about. Like, there's synthetic technocracy. I'm going to adopt synthetic technocracy because of the 30% project boost. Now, we do lose one of the amenity thingies. Actually, now that I think about that, that was probably a step down. It's okay. We want to take democratic legacy. We want to take... E-commerce is quite good here. I probably put e-commerce up there, and don't need neighborhoods. We probably take science foundations. That sounds good to me. We might get Stephanie Kwolak in 60 turns, so hopefully we can bring that down by running these campus research grants. But I forget what I was saying. It's the churn. We're in the late game churn. We're talking shit, all right? We're talking nonsense, which is part of the fun of a late game Civ game, is you could just start talking absolute B-locks, talking shite, as they say. But we're on the victory lap, right? We got the exoplanet expedition. That'll start the win clock. We're about to get off-world mission. This would have been, honestly, with the off-world mission, this would have been a multiple spaceport game, but I was expecting bad RNG, and we didn't get bad RNG. So I don't know what to tell you. I'm really, 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 really quite happy with this game. It was a really fun and interesting game. Very different from the actual challenge game I did quite a few days ago. But I think this game was super interesting because it was so heavily a tall game. And it's so rare that I get to do a tall game that is an actual tall game, because I really only settled 4 cities. I mean, technically I settled these 2, and I think I might have maybe thrown another one down over here somewhere. But really, from these 4 cities, with just like building really tall, I managed to just get so much value out of the map. I think 10 votes should be just about enough, and then I want Pachacuti to get more grievances, but I don't really care. Again, I'm just clicking things randomly in this, because again, the outcome of this World Congress session just really doesn't matter to my win condition. I've secured my win condition, and it's just a matter of getting through the turns and decisions to make that happen. I mean, if we wanted to be super hyper efficient, we would just literally send a builder, click the builder, and then shift enter to force the turn to end. But I like to be just a tiny little bit shred more optimal than that. So that's kind of where I ride that line. I won't quite go all the way to where like, okay, let's just get this game done. But I will actually like move builders around, and I'll kind of do these sorts of things. So the Lagrange laser stations, those are the best ones to get going, in my opinion. And so we shall get them going. May as well make a great work of music. Sure, why not? A little bit of extra stuff. We are over 1,000 signs per turn, which is always a really tasty moment for me. The nice thing about the Lagrange laser station is you can feed builders into it continuously, and the overflow will keep going. We're going to go ahead and continue to buy builders. We got a ton of this. We want to research future technology. The reason we want to research future technology is because future tech gives you a 5% production boost towards city projects every time it's completed. So by doing future tech over and over, we're getting a 5% boost to things like the Lagrange laser station. Does that actually exist in the game? I actually don't know, nor do I know how to test it, but I'm assuming that the game is telling the truth. It also increases your score, which is nice. Alrighty, so we got all that. Lagrange laser station, we could keep pumping the Lagrange. Boom, boom, boom. A single builder makes it every 2 turns. What's our current light speed right now, I think? We are traveling 2 light years per turn, and we have traveled 2 light years. So we're going to accelerate here very, very quickly towards Alpha Centauri. We're not quite at the level where 2 builders and a turn of city production will finish a Lagrange laser station every 2 turns, but we're kind of roughly there. We're almost at that point. We're on the edge of that. Looks like my Wuhan city got obliterated. Probably should promote Reina. Or sorry, not Reina, Liang with reinforced materials. And just as I was about to do it, the city explodes. Incredible. I swear to God, the game has like the ability to tell. It can tell. It must be able to tell. There's no other way to explain it. It actually managed to kill one of those builders I made, which is, you know, kind of fun. Let's continue to feed builders in. 1 turn, we're 2 turning things. We're starting to activate some of the older builders because we're getting through our list of builders. Future tech has been completed. We go for future tech. There is Stephanie Kwolek. So we're pumping, and we're going to get her pretty quick. And she will free up a little bit of production time for us. Or not free up. She will add a bit of production to us, meaning that we get twice as fast projects. We're doing all those campus projects that's helping us pump towards. And another Lagrange laser station. We're continuing to burn an absurd amount of aluminium to get up into space. We're 2 turning projects pretty handily, which feels good. We are now officially out of gold. We probably could trade for gold. I'm going to trade for raw gold because the game isn't going to last 30 turns, so I'll never get to see, you know, I'm not planting trees that I will never see the shade of because we are getting the hell out of this planet. Here's a question. Would you go to Mars? Would you go and be part of a colonization effort of a new planet? I don't know if I would. It's kind of good here. You know, I think I would either have to have a much worse life or have way less to live for, or a massive desire to make a name for myself, to want to go on one of those expeditions. I think there are people that want to go, and it kind of makes sense why they want to go. But me, nah, I'm good. I just want to be a dude. I want to do the things I like. I want to watch Star Wars. I recently started watching The Mandalorian. I know I'm super behind on TV shows. I am starting to catch up. I'm also trying to play more games that aren't like games you play over and over. I'm trying to play more like games, if that makes sense. We just finished another Lagrange laser station, by the way, and we are currently traveling 5 light years per turn. We've traveled 18. We are cranking away. Let's do another Lagrange. We can probably squeeze out 1 or 2 more Lagrange laser stations before we got to do terrestrial laser stations. Stephanie Kwolek is 3 turns away. I'll get the Oiler, John Rockefeller, very nice, 3 oil per turn and trade routes plus 2 gold per strategic resource in the target city. Yeah, I don't know if I'm on the colony ship, man. I think maybe if it was kind of like, oh, you know, we figured out a way to like reset the human body and you get to live another lifetime in another planet. And I was like an old man and like, hey, we're looking for volunteers to like get sent on colony ship. And it's like, I'm an old man, I lived a full life. And they're like, but you can go and like live on this colony too. And I'd be like, you know what, dude, fuck it, send me. turn me into a baby again and send me on the colony ship. I'll have a good time. But if you're talking like now, like go leave your current life and go live incredible hardship on like a desolate planet. I'm like, that's kind of, you're driving a hard bargain. that's a hard sell. Okay. That's a very hard sell. We did get reinforced materials on Liang. Excellent. And we're continuing to pump. I wonder if I'm going to get to be able to show you an important quirk of how the space race projects work. It's unlikely that I will, considering we're so close to winning. We're traveling 5 light years per turn and we're about to hit 28. So I probably won't get to show you the interesting quirk. But just luckily enough, we had enough stockpile and we had enough aluminium that we were able to just crank out all these Lagrange laser stations. Kaboom. Very, very fun. We didn't even get Qualak. She's not even done yet. Future tech again, and then go ahead to the end of the civic tree. Probably worst. We got like best roll for the science tree, worst roll for the civic tree, because we have to finish everything to get to the final tech. I mean, I like the idea of colonizing Mars. Also, we managed to steal the Venta, thanks to loyalty, which is kind of fun. My empire is expanded. This might be the most I've ever expanded an empire passively. There's the Lagrange laser station, perfect. And we are now officially traveling 7 light years per turn. And we will have to make a terrestrial laser station. Let's feed a builder in. Next turn, let's make sure we buy a builder as well. Yeah, I like the idea of colonizing a new planet and building a new world, but I don't know, man. It seems like it comes with a lot of downsides, you know? It seems like a cool idea, but I think it seems cooler than it actually is. That's my take. That going to another planet and colonize and like you know, settling it and building up a new society, you don't get to experience the new society. You get to do the hard stuff. Maybe if you're like a hardcore homesteader, you might enjoy it, but no way, man. There's the terrestrial laser station though. We're launching. And we're now traveling 8 light years per turn, so I just have to shift enter and we'll end the game. I'm not gonna, I could have got Stephanie Qualak, but it probably doesn't matter. She might be auto-recruited at the end of the turn, actually. I think that might be how that works. Yep, they auto-recruited her, and then the game ended. A very interesting game. This might have been the most interesting tall Civ game I've ever played. At least it feels like it. It feels like this was a very fresh and different and new game, and I really, really enjoyed doing a tall China. Even though the Civ isn't particularly suited towards going tall, I think it kind of all worked out very nicely. God, I really hope that the next Civ game is about colonizing Mars. I think Mars, like, I think that would be a really fun thing. I mean, I love the idea of like, I don't know if you guys ever played, not Interstellar Transport Company. It's, oh my God, it's made by Soren Johnson, the guys at Mohawk Games. They made Old World and they made a game before. It's like, I need to look it up. Hold on. Off-World Trading Company. I love Off-World Trading Company. It's super fun. It's all about like economically competing with each other. Really, really fun game. Super, super great. But yeah, that's a wrap, guys. We captured basically no cities. I mean, but we didn't found any cities. Or rather, like, if you look at the graph, like we went 1, 2, what was it? 1, obviously turn 1, 2, 3, 4. We settled 4 cities by turn 63, and then we never settled another city until we settled those 2 defensive cities to protect our empire. But that was it. We settled 4 cities this game, and we gained a bunch of cities through passive gain. Like this is what I would call a tall game. I would call this a tall game, in my opinion. We never settled more than 6 cities. We had a bunch of cities, but we didn't conquer them. They came to us. A very interesting, very fun game, very weird game. I'm kind of curious to hear what your thoughts are about it. But yeah, ton of science. We kind of managed to take off in science pretty early, which was a really nice tempo. Now, our culture kind of lagged a little bit in comparison, but it was still really, really strong. When I say lagged, like, I mean, it only lagged when you look at how explosive our science was, up over 1,000 science by the end of the game, whereas our culture only ever hit about 400, which is still an incredibly respectable amount of science. But yeah, let's take a nice little picture, and I'll post it to Twitter, and that'll be it. I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.